Hey guys. So, Jared Garrett again here. You know who I am. Woo! Let's rock and roll. I'm in the middle of recording chapter 11 and I wanted to demonstrate some voices and also give you a bit of a sneak peek at chapter 11. Now, many of you may have already read Push, the sequel to Beat. Beat was a number one bestseller on Amazon for a little while. It was great, yay! Push is excellent. It's a great finishing to the story or completion to the story. I'm not using good grammars. But I wanted you to see what this was going to be like. Okay. So I am going to start about 300 words into chapter 11, and here we go. You ready? While we'd been speaking, the wanderers had set their packs down, and two of them pulled out thin, flat boards. They were maybe a half-meter long and looked like wood. There were several layers in the mud. Wow, that was a bad little dumb. Let's edit live for that sucker. Uh huh. Wow. Okay, here we go again. There were several layers in the bundle of boards. The wanderers held the odd looking bundles out and pressed some kind of button in the middle of them. With a hum, the bundles loosened. Then layers swiveled out from each end, unfolding with smooth clicks. In a second, the two wanderers no longer held a bundle of boards, but long, sleek looking sticks that tapered at each end. There were grips in the middle of them, which was where the wanderers now held them. Bug me, what is that? Paul stepped closer. Bows, Scott said. This is how we hunt. Keepers are too loud and do far too much damage to the deer. The bow is an elegant, precise weapon. As I watched, the wanderers fumbled it again. Here we go. As I watched, the wanderer hunters pulled an incredibly thin wire, or cable, from one end of the bow to the other. Once the cable was attached at both ends, it tightened, bending the bow into a slight arc. Wow, Melissa said. She stepped closer to the nearest hunter, a lady a little shorter than Melissa. Can I see? Sure, the hunter said, handing Melissa the bow. While Melissa examined... Wow. You know what? I'm going to go with at the start of sure. Took me too long to get to her voice. It's a character's first introduction, two of them in the scene, and I've spent some time practicing the voices. I just have to get it right, or pretty right. Sure, 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 that's it. Sure, the hunter said, handing Melissa the bow. While Melissa examined the thing, the hunter pulled out a flat, narrow case and popped it open. I could make out 6 long, thin cylinders. She drew one of the cylinders out and tapped it against one hand. It expanded immediately to nearly a meter. I did that wrong. It extended a meter, not expanded. I'll slow down just a little bit for this narration to keep the emphasis where it needs to be. It extended immediately to nearly a meter. One end clicked and 4 strips of incredibly thin material slid out, evenly spaced around the end of the cylinder. They extended down the last 6 centimeters of the shaft. The other end clicked and a vicious-looking barbed point came out. Arrows, the hunter said. She ran a finger down one of the thin runners that extended from the top half of the arrow. This is the fletching. Keeps the arrow flying straight. She held out a hand for the bow. Melissa gave it up reluctantly. The hunter rested the pointy end of the arrow on the bow, just above the grip, and slid the arrow's butt back to the string. The string clicked into a notch I hadn't noticed before. Almost there. I hope you're having fun, guys. Here we go. She lifted the bow up to her face and pulled the string back with a gloved hand at the same time. In the same smooth motion, she swiveled and leaned forward just a bit. She had the bow's string drawn all the way back to her right ear. The arrow made a straight line across the right side of her face, nearly pressing on her cheek. She released a breath and the arrow at the same moment. I heard a thunk and followed the sound. The arrow had sunk into a narrow sapling about 20 meters away. Bug me, Melissa whispered. That is the best. The hunter smiled. It's pretty great. Melissa, Paul, and I followed the hunter to the sapling she had shot. About 10 centimeters of the arrow stuck out the other side of the sapling. How does it launch the arrow so hard? Paul asked, fingering the pointed tip. And how are you going to get the arrow out? The hunter smiled. Watch. She pressed the back of the arrow. The barbed tip clicked, turned, then slid into the body, leaving only a smooth shaft. I heard a slight hum coming from the arrow. I looked closer and saw it vibrating, the image a little distorted from the movement. The hunter gripped the fletch end hard. Wowsy buggins. That's a 5-minute video. We want to finish it off soon. The hunter gripped the fletched end hard and pulled. It slid cleanly out of the sapling. She pressed the back of the arrow again, and the barbed point re-emerged. She put it in Paul. Okay. Live editing. You gotta love it. Editing on the fly, you could say. She put it in Paul's reaching hand. Good stuff, right? Blaze, Paul whispered. Straight up, blaze. He bent close to examine it. Can I see the bow? Melissa asked. Sure, the hunter said. I'm Lily, by the way. Melissa smiled awkwardly. Oh, yeah, I'm Melissa. She took the offered bow. I'm Nick, I said. The guy drooling on your arrow over there is Paul. I know, Lily said. She pulled some kind of stretchy loop out of a pocket in her jacket and tied her hair up tightly. You guys are famous. She smiled. I couldn't take my eyes off her face. It was like she was glowing. I had thought her skin was just dark from a lot of sun, but the truth was that her cheeks and nose were covered in freckles. Her eyes were green with brown specks, and they looked like they had light pouring out of them. We didn't mean to be, I said, trying not to stutter. I blinked and forced myself to stop staring. Well, Lily took her bow and arrow back. You are. Fame means you get noticed. Fame is dangerous. Okay, I've paused the recording. That's all I'm going to do for here. But you see, sometimes voices are hard. I'm going to pause this, and I'll come right back for another quick scene where I have to go through 3 or 4 voices in just a few seconds. So hang tight. Okay, I'm back, and I'm going to do this. He just caught up to the Scott, Lily, and the other hunter, and he's asking a question, and you get to hear all these voices in quick succession. Ready? So, how long is this going to take? Scott placed a hand on one of Lily's shoulders. Lily and Tasha here are very, very good. The other woman, Tasha, smiled, lines around her eyes deepened. The spoor is fresh. The deer probably came through earlier this morning. She exchanged a glance with Lily. We won't be long. Can I come? Melissa appeared to... Melissa appeared next to me. The 2 hunters exchanged another look. Lily gave a comforting smile. No, we're much faster alone. Maybe next time... that was not the right voice. Maybe next time, Tasha said. The 2 hunters spun and disappeared into the forest at a run, following the same faint path we'd been using as a guide. How had they gotten out of sight so fast? We needed to learn to do that. Okay, people, Scott said. Let's spread out some. Keep under trees. Do what you can to hide your heat. And that's that for the video. I hope you enjoy.